Greetings, sunshines and sunnies. It is I, Queen Scarlet Pimp Sunkiss, coming at y'all right quick, right fast, maybe with a new moon portal. Pick a pal, pick a pal, pick a pal. Now, I am going to do an official new moon reading for what would be today's date, December 23rd, 2022, which is the actual date of the new moon's kickoff. However, this video will be predominantly focused on the portals that are being opened for the new moon cycle for us by 12/22/2022. The energy, the day, the happenings, what our spiritual realm is doing with and in the midst of it all, and what we have done and what we can do in order to help us help ourselves as we help our divine realm help us, help other people, help the world. But y'all, without further ado, we're gonna go ahead and get into. First of all, I want to get some insight on what exactly a portal is. So a portal is a doorway, a gateway opening, okay? Or other entrance. So yes, this is the definition of portal, combined with what portal is meaning for us with this new moon, and is meaning for the waning moon right before the new moon, which of course, as I said, fell on 12/22/2022. It's the portal opening, baby. Portals, endless portals, and big major portals have opened, creating more of a connection and vulnerability and fertility, if you will, with the divine realm in correlation and collaboration with the earth realm. And portals are specifically large. And many of us likely have been having a lot of moments, a lot of thoughts, a lot of experiences or conversations that deal with thinking bigger, going bigger, going bigger. And that is exactly the point. The portal that has opened up for us, the new veil that has lifted, is all about us getting more, working smarter and not harder, and also being rewarded for the fact that we have worked smarter and not harder. And what that means in this case, we've worked smarter by starting with ourselves, with starting with our internals, with rebelling from young ages from being sheep-minded and things of that nature. And the divine realm is and has been specifically positioning us to propel us to a position through a new portal, through a new transitioning period and transition, for us to be exactly where we need to be, and a lot of us exactly where we want to be, exactly, but better where we want to be, and able to invoke the drastic change that we need and want to see. Many of us have probably been having conversations where we're like, I want to see this. I wish somebody would do this like this. Or I wish somebody would create this. I wish somebody would reimagine this or this and that and the third. Like, specifically, me personally, I definitely had a conversation with one of my friends recently, and we were just talking about movies and the types of movies and roles that we want to see, and literally came to the end of that conversation saying, we gotta make what it is that we talking about we want to see. That's why it's coming to our minds, because it is being put as our not just responsibility but our purpose to bring new, authentically unique ideas and functionalities into the world. And the divine realm has single-handedly and in collaboration with us as individuals molded us and formed us into the perfect examples of blooming, and not only blooming, but a divine type of metamorphosis. Like, people say rags to riches, but they ain't seen what rags to riches can really look like until they're about to see a lot of us. Okay, people say back then they didn't want me, now I'm hot, they all on me, but we are literally about to be the textbook definitions of such. Okay. And many of us have been put through such humbling situations, specifically so that when we get into these big, grand spaces and this big, grand energy, this big, grand orchard of abundance, that we handle our abundance divinely and with balance and with dignity and with morals and with values, because I'm certainly sure that all of us, many of us, all of us, whatever, what have you, have definitely seen a multitude of people get power and go crazy and abuse it and do the absolute most and nothing at all at the same time. And like I said, that's why many of us have been put through such humbling situations, so that basically it's been instilled in our soul. It's something that many of us was also born naturally with, but it had to be molded, it had to be grinded, it had to be harvested, it had to be formed, it had to be poured into, it had to be taken through a lot of different cycles in order to strengthen, so that when we step into our abundance, or some of us might get pushed into our abundance, okay? But we've been given the experiences that have given us the tools to handle abundance divinely and to be to ourselves and to others what no one was for us when we were going through our humbling situations. And that is going to create so much abundance and such large, grand cups filled with abundance in many different forms that pour and spill over divinely and endlessly into an abundance of other people's cups. And I'm definitely picking up on a lot of generational wealth. And when I said that, the divine realm threw reparations to the very front of my mind. So for my people that are ADOS, and I'm picking up more than just ADOS. I'm picking up a multitude of oppressed groups. Black women came to me, Black LGBT, LGBT, other LGBT plus people of color, other women who are people of color. A whole lot of ostracized groups are about to finally get justice in ways that a multitude of people have said is impossible. A multitude of people have said it's a waste of time trying to go in that direction, trying to make that happen, trying to strive for that on an individual sense and on a grand sense. And the divine realm is snapping us right on out of that sabotaging thinking, that sabotaging functionality. And we are about to prove not only so many people wrong, the naysayers wrong, but we're about to prove our inner critic wrong. We're about to prove our inner naysayer wrong. We're about to prove our self-hater wrong as fuck. And all at the same time, it's a work of the divine. And child, if you've been here before, you know what the presence of the ones and the twos means. But I'm gonna give a little breakdown. And if you want a more in-depth breakdown, definitely make sure that you go through the rest of my videos and look specifically at the earlier ones that I do on angel numbers, especially the hindsight angel number reads, which I will be picking back up on when I get the minute to. But I will be picking back up on those. But definitely go through those if you want like a beginner's guide or a beginner's breakdown, if you will, of angel numbers. But for this video in particular, we're working with 12/22/2022. So what we're gonna do is put 3 of those 2s together and then another 3 of those 2s together, and we have 2 6s. Those 2 6s will come together and make 12. And then we're gonna carry that 1 that was left behind and put it with that 12, and we're gonna get 13. And then we're gonna put the 1 and the 3 together, and we're going to get 4. And for this video in particular, the number 4 is heavily focusing us on manifesting specifically our divine purpose and all of the dual blessings of it. And what that specifically means is being able to have it all in a high vibrational sense, being able to balance out your work life and your family life, and being able to carry on and pour into your relationships how and need to. And this is also because many of us have been trusting the signs. We have been making the necessary adjustments in balanced ways that are acting and coming out in our favor. We're being proven that our work and our sacrifices and also our flexibility and also our rebellion is not in vain. Which also confirms to me that many of us that are resonating with this energy have constantly been in experiences and situations where we've had to defend ourselves, constantly explain ourselves, constantly remove ourselves from situations in order to protect ourselves, protect our own freedom, have constantly try to defend other people and probably got attacked by the person that you were trying to defend for trying to defend them. A mess. But all of that to say that the divine realm has taken us through that, and now we're about to see that those instances were not in vain, that we are not crazy, and that our work is paying off. And our rest is also paying off as well. And let's talk about how our rest is paying off, okay? All the way down to the astrology of it all. So as I said before, a minute ago, that 12/22/2022 was the date of the waning moon, which is basically the new moon eve. Okay, and the waning moon, in very simplified terms that are also correlating with the energy here, the waning moon is about a rest period, a stopping period, a stillness period, and in some cases and for some people, a nesting period. So I might have some pregnant people listening to this. I might have some people that's about to get pregnant again. But also, I'm sure that I have a lot of people that are in the midst of building the foundations, or have been building the foundations for a while now, of their businesses, of their careers, of themselves, of their families. And some of us may have gotten lost in the sauce of the grind mode of it all, and the laying of the pavement of it all, and the structurization and outlining and planning and this, that, and the third. Some of us may have got lost in the sauce of that, bit overactive, and just determined, right? Perseverant. It's not in vain. It's no problem. I mean, unless you are working yourself to the point of exhaustion and it becoming to the point of self-harm. Okay, now that's a whole nother story. But for the most part, what I'm getting here is, while the last bit of what I just said could be a possibility for a lot of you, I said all that to say the divine realm has sat a lot of our asses down, one way or another, not to punish us, not to discourage us, not to hurt us, but to get us to a needed resting period, a needed nesting period. Because much of what we have sown and harvested and worked so hard for is about to bloom. The divine realm just has to put their finishing touches on everything, and they need us kind of out of the way and in more of a relaxed state in order to do that. And in this resting period, it may feel stagnant, especially dependent on the different types of rhetoric that may have been put into your head coming up. Some people were raised in households where if they were sitting, doing nothing, resting, chilling, just being, they probably got smacked upside the head or chastised or nagged about being lazy and all of this other crap. So for those people, the feeling of stagnancy and restlessness may be more emphasized in this particular midpoint area of being at both the end of a cycle and beginning of a cycle at the same time, because that's literally what's been going on and what is going on, and we're being guided into the official first level, first beginning of the new cycle, of course. And what we're needing to do in this midpoint area, however, is not get caught up in the feeling of stagnancy. Because if you get caught up in that, you're going to feel discouraged. You're going to start beating yourself up. You're going to start doing things that lead you to hurting yourself, basically, in a lot of different ways. So just know that it's only a feeling of stagnancy. It's not a reality. And with that being said, however, those feelings are coming up also because it's a need to reflect on ways that we've been taught to sabotage ourselves and hold ourselves back, and ways that we've been taught to ultimately hate ourselves and beat ourselves up for every little thing. So need to reflect on all of that. And in the midst and as a result of that reflection, we then need to reflect on the past month. And for some people, it is also leaning to reflecting on the past year, specifically around situations that have made us very uncomfortable and or frustrated in any way. And what comes to mind with me saying that just now, and when you actually do your intentional reflection, what comes to mind from all of that, it is presenting to you things that are surrounding the lessons that we're about to learn through accumulating our blessings. And it is surrounding lack mentality and pessimism. But it's going to be different and deeper for each person, of course, case by case situations. Everybody got their own experiences and whatnot. But for the most part, the general consensus is that the divine realm is about to show us that all lessons are not gained through pain. We're about to gain a lot of lessons through receiving and accumulating blessings. And as I kind of said before, it's all with the purpose of proving us wrong about our own doubts and our own negative perceptions about ourselves and about life as a whole, about the universe even. And with that being said, if you've been dwelling or even suppressing angry or negative emotions about God or about your divine realm or the universe or the world or humanity, it's a need for you to express that and be honest about it in a healthy way. Write it down. Have a transparent conversation with somebody that you trust, that you know can have that type of conversation and, help guide and influence you through it in a way that ends in laughter and optimism. Have those conversations, and if you don't have anybody to have those conversations with, write it out. Or when you do yoga, yell it out. When you're dancing, yell it out, just so you can get it out, just so you can be honest about it also, because you need to be on a frequency of honesty. And when you're suppressing those types of things, you're not on a frequency of honesty. And it's really bad to be on a frequency of dishonesty when it comes to your feelings about the divine realm. That is an ultimate way to block your blessings, by not being honest about frustrations that you have with spirituality, divine realm, religion, God, the universe, whatever you call it, however you perceive it. Don't suppress those emotions. Don't feel bad about having those emotions, because it's just the human side of yourself. And you just have to be honest about it so that your divine realm can help guide you through that, so that they can prove you wrong in the best ways. So, you allow your divine realm to help you when you allow yourself to be honest with and about your perceptions of the divine realm as well, and your spiritual process and everything. So, yeah. And to wrap up on the numerology aspect, as we get into the pick a card, the presence of a reposition of tools. We know it means victory, duality, the presence of soul family, or the coming in of soul family and twin flames. And the presence of one gives us new beginnings, individuality, uniqueness, success, and being on the right track, being divinely aligned. Now, for the pick a pal, I got two groups here represented by Lindor Truffles and two different songs. I picked these songs through meditation. I also picked these chocolates, the color of the wrapper that is, through random selection, a shuffle, if you will. So, for group number one, we have the red paper wrapped Lindor Truffle with the song It's Funky Enough by the DOC featuring NWA. I said featured, but it's really sampled by an NWA song called 8 Ball. But the artist who song it is the DLC. And that artist in particular, the DLC, has always had, I ain't gonna say always, but for the most part, for their prominent career, they had a lot of collaborations and affiliations with NWA. But if the color red is resonating with you, if you feel like that song, the visuals of the song art cover, photo cover is resonating with you, go along with that one. I'm also going to put timestamps in the comments, so if the numerology of the timestamp of group 1 resonates with you, definitely go with that one. But as I stated before, group 1 is being represented by the red and gold wrapped Lindor Truffle, and the song is Funky Enough by the DLC with the NWA sample. And over to the right, group 2 is represented by the blue and silver, little taste of gold on there, but the blue wrapped Lindor Truffle, and the song Still Don't Know by August Alsina. And like I said before, if the color blue is resonating with you, if you just like the right side, okay? If the song Still Don't Know by August Alsina is resonating with you, if August Alsina resonates with you, if the cover art of the song resonates with you, go along with that one. And like I said before, I'm gonna put the timestamps in the comments, so if the numerology of the timestamp of group number 2 resonates with you, you can also choose that one based off of that. And with all that being said, without further ado, we're gonna go ahead and get into these cards for group 1. It's funky enough. Boom, boom, boom. I not group 1. So this is the layout. We have for our rebel card, don't talk to anyone, don't look at anyone. And I believe the other side of that card says you need your alone time and you know why. Okay? You know why. We also have the number 3 and we have emotions are running high. The super. All right, don't talk to anyone, don't look at anyone. Y'all need y'all alone time, child. It's a hermit mode. So definitely this particular group is heavily focused on the reflection aspect that I mentioned in the intro. So if you didn't listen to the intro for this group, you're gonna really want to go back and listen to what was in that intro about the moment of solitude and how things feel stagnant, but they aren't. There's that feeling is just meant to push you into a certain train of thought so that you can start taking some different actions in an opposite direction from what was holding you back in the past. This card is also blue. So we know we got some dealings in the throat chakra, and I'm gonna talk about that. But what I want to focus on really quick is that it's not just blue. The actual tone of that card without the filter and everything is a aquamarine type of tone. And that's definitely lending me to say some of you may need to get a aquamarine stone. And if you already have one, you need to learn more about it. You need to learn more rituals and more ways that you can use it, and also the proper ways of purifying it as well. Because if you have one that you haven't purified at all or in a while, you may need to go ahead and do a purification over it, because it could be reflecting or like oozing some old traumatic energy on you just because it needs to be purified. When you don't purify your stones, they end up spitting the bad energy back off on you like a vacuum. Once your vacuum bag gets full and the vacuum starts to spit the dust and the dirt and everything that it sucked up back out, yeah, you gotta dispose of that and, you know, release that energy. You gotta purify that energy. Don't dispose of the stone, purify it. And the reason I'm using the term purify is because some stones can be purified with water, but some have to be purified with smoke and ceremonies or other types of solutions. That's why I said make sure that you do your research. And for those of you that have been doing yoga, that have been doing cleanses, that have been committing to or adding any form of self-care into your life lately or newly now, those things are specifically being brought into your life. Your divine realm has led you in that direction so that you can start physically healing the traumatic wounds. And what I mean by that is a lot of us have trauma from our own lives, and some of it is generational curse or generational wounded trauma, trauma that is passed down through generations and generations and generations, like mental issues, mental disabilities, traumatic disabilities like PTSD, all of those things that can be passed down genetically and energetically and things of that nature. And like I said, new forms of self-care are being brought to you specifically so that you can energetically cleanse your aura. And I'm picking up that many of you are doing it through dance and yoga and getting massages, and if not, then this is a confirmation that that's something that you need to do, so that the spiritual and emotional wounds that you have stored in your chakras do not start to manifest physically into the form of illnesses. And if you already have some type of chronic illness, or you have some immune system deficiencies, or you have some skin deficiencies or problems or things of that nature, if you have any type of recurrent physical ailment, this message is definitely for you, because that recurrent physical ailment is attached to some form of generational curse, pathological cycle, some type of generational spiritual, emotional, and mental wound that has been passed down through generations in your family, and it's been left unhealed and undealt with for so long that it's manifested itself into a physical ailment, some type of reoccurrent physical ailment. And many of you that are resonating with that particular message, you may be coming across more information about the history of your family. And all of those things are to help you unpack it so that you can work to healing those generational wounds, those generational curses even further, and purging that energy. And as a result, many of you are going to basically, it's either going to come to you or you're going to be pushed in that direction by your divine realm, even if your divine realm sends you somebody specific, or even this video, to lead you in that direction, that puts you in position to come across a cure or a treatment that works like a cure, that basically releases you of the struggles of those ailments. And for some of you, this is going to be through a dramatic cleanse of your diet. And definitely, if that resonates, you definitely see a herbal focused nutritionist. And with all of that being said, all of that is healing our DNA so that we can heal our DNA. And through healing our DNA, we will end up passing on healthier genetics and healthier DNA down to our children, constantly and endlessly creating more healthier, stronger, and more balanced and more effortlessly stable generations with stronger immune systems, stronger mentalities, and stronger emotional and spiritual stability and senses. Less allergies, less deficiencies, overall less challenges that can be prevented, and we are preventing them for ourselves. But I think that's also a major part of thinking bigger, because many of us are going to have children. For some of us in the future, but I am definitely picking up that some people in this group are about to get pregnant or just found out that they are pregnant, or you've been pregnant. And with that being said, it's basically healing our bodies and taking care of our bodies now, and restructuring our bodies, and like I said, our DNA in the best way, so that as men who carry the seed and women who harvest and bloom the seed, those beings have healthier soil that they have been formed in, and therefore they will come out healthier, stronger, more beautiful, more longevity, and better quality of life. And for those of you that have been having aches and pains and bouts of inflammation and irritation, I'm picking up on a lot of skin problems, in particular, but also stomach inflammation, heartburn, lower back soreness and inflammation, hip soreness and inflammation, things of that nature. Those are signs and signals for you to put more focus and more intent behind your integrating basically your physical and spiritual self-care. And in simple terms, what that can mean is before and after physical activity of any kind. And this can even mean like content creating, like where you have to do something, where you are working in any shape or form. I don't just mean working out, I don't just mean dancing when I say physical activity. I mean anything that is obligatory or like work. Even if your work is your passion and so it doesn't necessarily feel like work, it's still something that is a money maker, you know. So yes, any activity that requires exertion and that particular activity has a functionality of being a means to an end, even though it may not only be a means to an end, but it is a means to an end nonetheless. Before and after you do that, whether it's working out, whether it's content creating, whether it's going to work, doing yoga, whatever, what have you, have a moment of pampering first, even if it's just 10 minutes, you know. Get your hair moisturized and everything. Put it in a little neat style. It ain't gotta be too much. Something simplistic. Moisturize yourself. Oil and lather yourself. Talk nice to yourself for a bit. Do your obligatory activity. And then pamper yourself again. But when you pamper yourself after your obligatory activity, make sure you lay it on as thick as you possibly can, because the pampering that you do before your obligatory activities is the prep, it's the pump up, it's the momentum builder, okay? It's the confidence builder, it's the stability and trust builder, all of that. And then the pampering that you do after the obligatory activity is the reward. It's the pat on the back, okay? It's the showing yourself of some love and the giving yourself of some flowers. And that's going to come together to help integrate your spiritual senses, frequency, and functionality of healthy cycles, essentially. Because for many of you that this is resonating for, it seems as though you all just kind of go through the motions. You do your spiritual stuff, but it's still a lot of like going through the motions. And the reason why it's still like going through the motions is because y'all skip that release step. You skip the moment where you're supposed to stop, be still, and release, relax, and release. Like, I'm also picking up, I'm sorry, but I'm picking up constipation. So if you've also been having some bouts of constipation, it's because you struggle with releasing. And the reason why you're struggling with releasing is because you struggle with stillness, with rest periods, with being still. It's like you see something wrong with taking a break and having great moments of tenderness with yourself. And you need that desperately from yourself, and that's what your body is screaming to you through all of that discomfort and inflammation and soreness and all of that. Your body is screaming at you, I need tenderness from you, I need tenderness from you, I need rest, I need release, I need release. And so that's definitely where the reflecting on the self-sabotaging functionality that many of you may have been taught, that's where and why you need to reflect on that, because something about that is attached to an inner self-saboteur, whichever way you pronounce it, you know what I'm talking about. You be sabotaging yourself basically, and it shows up in your body through stiffness and stagnancy in different ways. So if you've been getting more into dance and yoga and things like that, and you've been wanting to increase your flexibility physically, that's because it's something in you also that wants to increase your flexibility mentally, emotionally, and spiritually. And your divine realm is assisting you in that. That's why they're giving you these particular directions, because it's going to help you do that. It's going to help you become more flexible and agile and less tense and less filled with anxiety, also, and less filled with fear. It's going to help you better process your processes. It's going to help you better process your cycles, process yourself, process your emotions, and have those moments of release that you need. And don't be ashamed and don't try to stop yourself if you feel a need to cry quite a bit lately. Let yourself cry, because your body needs that. And you may be like, I don't even know what the hell I'm crying about, or this was something so small, I don't know why it made me cry. Because it's something attached to a wound that needs to be addressed. And that's why you need that alone time too, and that's why you need that rest, so that it can come up. And it needs to come up so that it can come out. And you need to allow yourself to address it. You need to allow yourself to feel it and go through it and just let it out. Just let it out. Don't try to stop your emotions. Don't judge yourself. Don't critique yourself. Just let it be. Let it come out. Let it release. If you've been sweating a lot, that's another sign. That's your body crying. And it's not necessarily a bad thing. It's just a sign that, hey, we need to release. We need to release. We need to release. And that leads perfectly into emotions are running high. They're running high because a lot of you have been avoiding your emotions. You've been avoiding your emotions through being so on the go, goal oriented, excessively jumping from the next task to the next. And so your emotions have built up, and with the energy that's going on right now, it's causing that sensation to be emphasized. So your emotions are running high. And that goes back to what I said about that purge that needs to happen. And it needs to happen also to clear out all of that clutter. And so some of you may need to clean your room or clean your car out, clean your closet out also. But cleansing out that clutter so that you can see the bigger picture. Not only so you can see the bigger picture, but so that bigger picture can be filled in and filled up with all of the high vibrational divine abundance blessings that you deserve. And that's what that number 3 is about. Your divine purpose, and manifesting your divine purpose and your divine person. That's not a mistake that's about to come out, but also manifesting your divine person. And if you already have your person or your twin flame, then it's likely that that relationship is about to be elevated also. And with that being said, those of you that are in a relationship, if you've been doing a lot of bickering over the past couple of weeks or the past month, then that's been happening so that y'all can come to the conclusions of what's not working anymore in the relationship. Doesn't necessarily mean that you need to ditch the relationship. It's just certain things, certain functionality, certain mindsets about and within the relationship that need to be deaded and that need to be released so that y'all can officially start that new beginning. And some of you have probably already, gotten through the thickets of the woods of those conflicts, and you already know at this point what you need to change about yourself and how you function in your relationship. And you've conveyed what you need as well from your partner, and both of you are already working on that. So this is confirmation of that, if that's you. And for some of you, like I said, you've probably been kind of filled with angst and worry, like, oh my gosh, we've been fighting so much, are we about to break up, is this the end, da 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 da. And I'm not picking up on that it's the end. It's not the end. It's just certain patterns and certain habits that need to end. certain ways of handling things or not handling things that need to end and that need to be renewed, you know, trying some new tactics, new spontaneity, stop doing the same thing over and over again just because your mate been letting you get away with it. Do right, do what you need to do, give your mate the best of you, and stop being scared because your divine realm got y'all. Just commit to making the changes that you know you need to make, and continue to love on yourself and speak nice to yourself in the process, and that's going to result in you speaking nicer and being nicer and having better communication with your mate. Another side of this blue 3 that we have here is that many of you are meant to use your voice within your divine purpose. So your divine purpose is through your voice. So you may be a singer, you may have a podcast, you may need to start a podcast, you may be a teacher, an educator in some form of way. Whatever it is, and using your voice or using your words. So you may be a writer, you might write a book or something of the sort. I'm also picking up journalists. And with all of that being said, whatever your field is, reflect on the content that has already been put out in that field. So if you're an artist, reflect on the art that is already present. Masterpieces even. Okay? If you are in the medical field, reflect on a lot of the work and discoveries that's already been done. If you're in the podcast field, reflect on the different podcasts. What are they talking about? What topics do they discuss? How is it influencing the audience, and how is their influence on their audience influencing the world? Whatever your field is, think of it in that way. How are the people that are already successful in your field influencing their followers, their audience, their students? And how is their influence on their followers, their audience, their students impacting the world? And those of you where you like how it's influencing the world, take on those tactics. But where you see things where you don't like how successful people in your field are influencing their audiences and influencing the world as a result, that is pointing you in the direction of the intent that you need to put behind your content. And that literally goes back to being the change that you want to see. The change that you want to see is directly attached to your purpose. It's directly attached to what you need to be singing about, what you need to be talking about, what you need to be rapping about, what you need to be writing about. And you need to do it in a way that influences your audience, your followers positively, healingly. I don't even know if that's a word, but in a way that heals and in a way that is progressive in high vibrational ways. Because that's leading us perfectly into the song and the artist that is present for this group. All right, it's Funky Enough by the DOC. So y'all, this is it's high mid tempo, and it's oh my gosh, it's funky, baby. It's real funky. It's a funky hip hop beat with a rap / reggae type of edge, and it's hype. I'm talking about bumping. And he ain't the greatest lyricist on the song, but he's snapping. You know what I'm saying? His delivery is everything, and the vibe is hype. And the general consensus of the song is basically being funky, not in a stanky type of way, but like in like, I don't want to use this term, but it's a universally understood term, in a lit type of way, in a swagged out type of way, in a trend setting type of way. And with that being said, This song was definitely chosen for y'all because it's high time for y'all to not only realize that y'all are trendsetter spirits, but that it's time for you to go ahead and start acting on it as fuck. Like mindfully and confidently acting on it and stepping into it. Don't judge yourself and overly criticize yourself for the weird, seemingly unorthodox ideas and ways that you do things. As long as you get it done in an excellent way, that's what matters. Because how you do what you do makes it funky enough. It makes it divinely designed. Because, like I said, the DLC is not even really lyricizing on this particular song. Like, he ain't even just spitting like talking about, but his delivery and the way he is conveying not only the words, but his energy and what he wants you to feel. It's a call to action. It's a hype call to action. Okay? Emphasis on call to action. Because when you all are creating your content and doing what you do and your divine purpose, the field of your divine purpose, it's a need for you to be very mindful and intentional of what your call to actions are. What are you calling your followers to do? Because that is a major part of the impact that you're having on your followers, the call to action that you give them. And with that being said, the DLC, like I said, this is a sample of NWA's 8 Ball. And 8 Ball by NWA was made about 2 years, well, it was released at least about 2 years before It's Funky Enough by the DLC. And that song, that song is more so about, in simple terms, being a menace to society, drunk off 8 Ball. And Eazy-E is the main rapper on that particular song. And because he is referring to himself being the menace to society, tripping off 8 Ball on the song, and there isn't any or much lyrics or context that point to that particular behavior not being okay, and them receiving like awards and gratifications and certain things based off their music that they have like that, while they are storytelling, yes, and you should storytell, but this is where, you know, we're getting into the specifics of the messages, not only the messages of these songs, but the messages of what these songs in correlation with this cards and the energy and all of that, what all of this is meaning for you. And a large part of that is being mindful about what you're representing and essentially what you are glorifying, as well as what people are glorifying about you. Because just because someone compliments something about you, like, you need to have the discernment to be able to deduce if that's something that you should feel good about. Because NWA in particular, they were being glorified and praised for making it acceptable to speak rawfully about their experience growing up in impoverished neighborhoods. And that part is great. What it turned into, however, is the exploitation of such and the glorification of that particular image. And so while they started out with the intent to bring awareness to what was going on, they ended up inevitably glorifying the toxic image of violence and gang banging, because many of the songs lack context that specifically point to that type of behavior not being okay. They do have songs that are about like drugs and things like that, like drugs, police brutality, and things of that nature that give specific indication of certain toxic images and goings on that are not okay. But then they have a lot of songs that low key, high key glorify the toxic street activity, whether they intended to or not. And it's a difference from a rapper like Slick Rick, where he would do the elaborate, detailed storytelling with his lyrics, but specific things like the ending of the story will be the demise of whoever that menace is. So he creatively raps a story about this person that goes on a robbing spree and shoots all these innocent people, is on a high-speed chase from the cops and all this, that, and the third. But you realize that, there's the context basically that points to the direction of that activity not being okay and not being the thing to do, is that by the end of that rap story, of that song, the particular person that he's rapping the story about ends up facing his demise because he decided to have a shootout with the cops and the cops killed him. So that type of ending to a story lets you know that just because the person is the main character, or just because I'm talking about this, just because I'm telling this story, doesn't mean that this is something that you should subscribe to. Therefore, the call to action in that particular song, and many of you may know the specific Slick Rick song that I'm talking about. I can't think of the name of it right this moment, but by the description, and you can just go listen to some Slick Rick songs, because he has quite a few of them that are like that, where he tells basically a hood story, and that hood story ends with the menace to society being, suffering the consequences of their actions. But if you tell a story or give an image of a person doing all of this maniacal, chaotic behavior, but they're constantly being rewarded for it, then you tell your audience that that behavior is okay and that behavior is profitable. But if you tell a story and you show that person getting consequences for their actions, it solidifies to the audience that that particular lifestyle is not okay. It's not the way, sway. And all of that to say, getting back to, it's funky enough, okay? The DLC took 8Ball, well, it's a collaboration, but what I mean by that is he transmuted the energy of it. He transmuted the energy of it. He transmuted the energy of the context of 8Ball. He took it from being this menace to society type song to being a party song, like a house party type song, which also makes sense because 8Ball came out in 1987. It's Funky Enough came out in 1989. 1989, that is the end of the 80s and the beginning of the 90s. See that midpoint area of transition? And that particular midpoint area of transition, hip hop was transitioning from so much gangster vibes and all that menace to society music type shit to more house party music. So and much of the music, people, they may have still been rapping about gang life and stuff like that, but it was more from like a party type sense, more of a happy feeling vibe. And don't get me wrong, still gotta be mindful about context, but that's the point here, being mindful and understanding that you don't have to do something just because somebody else is doing it, or you don't have to do it the exact way that someone else is doing it. And that's legit the point of the song is Funky Enough, because in the video, NWA, or Easy in particular, and Dr. Dre are basically talking to the DLC and like, oh, you want to be a part of this and that and this and is it funky enough? Is you funky enough? Like, what is it giving? Is you good enough for this crew or whatever? And so then he starts rapping the song, and like I said, the song is basically giving, you know what I'm saying, I'm popping, I'm like, this here is funky enough because I'm me. I might not do everything like you do, I may not do everything the way you expect me to, I may not be given the image that you think is of value, but I'm gonna show you it's of value, and it's of value because it's me, and can't nobody do it like me, and can't nobody do me like I. So acknowledge and embrace all sides of where you come from, the light and the darkness of it all, and understand that anything that is darkness can be transmuted into light. Be mindful of how you distribute that light to your audience, to your followers, to your students, and make sure that the calls to action that you give them through your light is in alignment with the changes that you want to see, with the greatness, with the excellence that you want to see and that you want to be. And y'all, I have milked this cow dry. And if you're feeling synchronized, please like, share, and subscribe so that you can be one of the first to be back through these queenly quotas for the next time. And be sure to bless my comment section with your questions and conversations. And as always, I bid you all light, love, healing, and liberation. Emphasis on liberation. On to group 2. Group 2, y'all are met with laugh. A green number 5, and a new start is coming. New moon. Big alignment, big alignment, big alignment. And y'all's channeled song is Still Don't Know by August Alsina. So we're gonna start with laugh. So this is definitely a sign that many of you have probably lost sight of your sense of humor. I'm sensing a lot of excessive goal orientation. I'm being so like kind of obsessed with making sure that you're on the right track, making sure you're doing all the right things, making sure you're going in the right direction. Being obsessed over results, whereas you're not giving yourself the opportunity to have any fun. And this is definitely a call to play. I was gonna say go outside and play, but it's cold as shit right now. It's gonna be warmer in a couple of days. Well, at least in certain areas in the south, it's gonna be warmer in the next couple of days. Maybe you can go outside, but regardless, watch a funny movie, read a adventure book, draw, do something fun, go out with some friends, invite some friends over to the house, play some games, do something fun. Do something fun. Be around people that make you laugh. It seems as though something is damaging or something has damaged some of you all's sense of humor, and that is attached to the solar plexus chakra, which also deals with confidence and anger and things of that nature. So if you have been repressing a lot of anger, you really need to either journal, go to a rec room, talk to somebody, get some therapy, and like the card says, laugh. Expose yourself to something that is going to make you laugh, because laughing is a form of release also, and laughing, it helps you to release anger and sadness. It's a high form of releasing anger and sadness through laughter, which leads me into your green number 5 here. While there is some solar plexus things going on, there are solar plexus things going on because of some heartbreak, that has happened. And your divine realm is trying to redeem you from that heartbreak. But there are some things that you're still holding on to. And ultimately, I'm picking up on this because many of you have not talked about it. And many of you probably haven't been completely honest with yourself about how the particular heartbreak has made you feel, what inconveniences it brought you, this, that, and the third. And I'm kind of going to save the rest of that message for when we get into the song, because it's directly attached to that. And with that being said, we're going to move straight into a new start is coming with the new moon. And this is high confirmation that y'all are on the right track. Please stop beating yourself up. Please, 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 please. Because I am picking up that a lot of people in this group have a very, very bad habit, and it's like a stronghold on your psyche of beating yourself up and judging yourself over every little thing. And this is more than likely because of like adults that you grew up around, and it's probably very naggy adults or adults that were always talking about their problems, or always talking about how broke they were, or always talking about how stressed out they were, or always talking about how bad life is and how life won't ever be great and stuff like that. Just, it seems like many of you have been surrounded by a lot of negative, pessimistic types of people, specifically adults, while you were a child. And it seems like for some of you, someone was always ego busting you. Someone was always talking down on you, or like coming in trying to ruin the fun. Like for instance, if you had a particular parent and when they would leave the house, you would have the most fun or be the most relaxed and things of that nature. But then as soon as they come back, it's like fun is completely over. Okay, there's a tension in the house all over again. It's like you can't feel comfortable just being. You can't feel comfortable being happy or laughing about anything. Seems like many of you had a parent or parental figures that sucked the fun out of everything, basically did not allow you to have much leisure. And that is what has directly had an effect on your solar plexus. And I'm not gonna lie, for some of you, I'm not saying that the heartbreak is your fault. It's not what I'm saying, okay? What I am going to say, because this is the message that is coming through, a part of your part in the demise of certain relationships that came to an end is that people didn't know why they were getting like a depressive vibe off of you. And it seems like they really wanted to be there for you. They really wanted to be a real friend to you. They really wanted to show you real love. But you would not be vulnerable. And not only would you not be vulnerable and allow them to be there for you, but you also wouldn't allow yourself to be fun or have fun. It seems like everything seemed to be all about business with you, or all about some serious shit. And there is a particular person or certain people where you probably been like, why they ghost me all of a sudden, or why they, all of a sudden start acting a certain way with me, why it seems like I can't ever get in touch with them now or whatever. And that's a part of why, because they knew you needed something and they wanted to give that to you and be that for you, but they couldn't figure out how, and you wouldn't tell them how. You wouldn't give them anything to work with, so they step back. So it seems like y'all may have, some particular ones of you may have a bad habit of pushing people away. And much of the cycle that has come to an end for you, that's trying to come to an end, is you getting out of that mindset that, one, you don't need people, and getting out of the mindset that people are like just things in your way. There are some really great people that are around you and that are trying to come in for you, but this aura of pessimism and this habit of pessimism is not serving you, and it's causing so many unnecessary blocks, because a new start is trying to come, and y'all literally got the new moon card. A new start is coming. So it's literally a matter of you all having to release and have like a great period of self-care and fun. Y'all really need that. Like, that would instantly clear up a lot of blockages and a lot of confusion that you have going on inside of you, because those pessimistic habits are keeping you from seeing your greatness. It's keeping you from seeing your blessings. It's keeping you from seeing your accomplishments, and it's keeping you from seeing the excellence that you're about to step into. It's keeping you from seeing more of the blessings that are coming in for you. And with that being said, we can go ahead and get into the song. August Alsina, Still Don't Know. So look at the imagery for, that's his album cover specifically. Not just that song, but that's the whole album cover that song comes off of. But it's necessary. So you see, on one side of his face he has a black strip, and on another side of his face he has a white strip. And this is a reminder of choices. This is a reminder that, yeah, everything's not great, but everything's not bad either. Acknowledge the good and the bad. And that is good, latch onto it and run with it, so that you create and attract more of it, and be more accepting of yourself and less judgmental of yourself. Because many of you may be struggling with this perspective that people hate you or are out to get you, or like that everyone hates you or something like that. And that's not true. Like I said, you got people around you right now that want to love on you, but your perspective of yourself and the way that you've been taught to treat yourself and the way you've been taught to relate to yourself has you projecting, sorry, it's a bit of a tough love message, but it has you projecting your own self-hate into situations where there's actually a lot of love for you. And to parallel with the imagery here of the album cover, you all are so mentally and emotionally drowning in the swamps of your past heartbreaks that you're not allowing yourself to be embraced by what you truly deserve and your highest self. Now, the lyrics of this song, he talks a lot about the pressure that he's under, the things that he goes through. It's basically like he feels encaged inside of himself, and there's a lot of internal torment and conflict, and how the people around him or the people that see him really don't know what he's going through. They just think they know everything, and they keep looking for things and expecting things out of him, but they really don't know what he goes through. And it's kind of like the vibe I get from the lyrics and the energy of the song, it's a feeling of internal entrapment. It's a Eight of Swords type of energy. Being stuck inside your own head, beating yourself up with all of your demons and all of your heartbreaks and all of your traumatic experiences and all of your negative emotions. And don't get me wrong, we have to acknowledge the negative things that we go through, but it's not serving you to dwell there. And much like in the song, he's talking about all of these things that he's going through, and it's obviously a cry for help, but he's obviously not crying out to actual people for help. He's suffering in silence. And that's what it seems that many of you have been doing. You have been suffering in silence, and that is not serving you anymore, because the new cycle that you're going into, you're gonna have to work with people, and those people have what you want and what you need, and they have what you deserve. God is putting them into place for you and in your space so that they can deliver the blessings from your divine realm for all of your hard work. So you all really have to get out of your own way. You all really have to get out of your own way and start opening up to the people that are trying to be there for you. Start expressing yourself. Stop suffering in silence. Let people know what you're going through. Let people know what you need. Let people know what you want. Because there are people around you that, like I said, have what you want and need and what God has for you. And they're sending it all through them. And you are just in your own way. You are just in your own way. And I needed to also say that the number 5 is about drastic change, and it's also about balance and soul family. So many of you are already in the presence of your soul family, and you're letting it go to waste because you are choosing to suffer in silence. In the divine realm, the call to action that y'all are getting from these messages is to, like I said, love on yourself, speak nicer to yourself, meditate more, laugh, engage in some fun activities, massage yourself, give yourself a pedicure, give yourself a pampering, you know what I'm saying? Go to the beauty shop, go to the barber shop, do something, you know what I'm saying? Let somebody pamper you, like pamper yourself. Y'all talk nice to yourself. Oh my gosh. And let people talk nice to you. Accept compliments, even if you still feel uncomfortable getting compliments, still actively accept it and constantly repeat those compliments to yourself until it sticks. Because that's a part of y'all self-care. A part of y'all self-care guidance through this layout as well. Y'all need a good morning gorgeous routine. And what that means is that y'all need to establish a routine when you get up in the morning, at lunchtime, and when you go to bed, of looking in the mirror and complimenting the fuck out of yourself. Just complimenting yourself, just talking nice to yourself, boosting your own head up, even if it's a bunch of stuff that you don't believe yet. Boost your head up. Make time out to do that, because it's going to make a large difference. The more you do that, you're going to start seeing more and more fall into place. And a part of why that is because through the discipline of the routine, the discipline of you committing to the routine, as well as the content of the routine, which is talking nice to yourself, that's building your confidence, that's building your trust in yourself, which essentially is going to help build your trust in your own sense of discernment, in your intuition. So you're going to start hearing your divine messages personally through yourself. You're going to start hearing your divine realm speak to you more clearly. You're going to start grasping a better understanding of where you need to go, who you need to be around, and how you need to do things. And once you express all of that you've been holding in and repressing and suppressing, and many of you probably need to do it creatively. You probably need to let all that out creatively, or you need to talk about it with some friends, get some therapy. But you need to let all of that out. You need to let it out in a healthy manner before it comes out in a destructive manner. Okay? You need to let that out, because the sooner you let it out, the clearer you will see yourself. The better, the higher light as you will see yourself, because y'all are holding on to a lot of anger and a lot of self-hate that's been poured into you from childhood. And it is stunting you all so bad, because you can't see how far you've actually come and how much further you're about to go. So yeah, y'all know what to do. And you do things well. You do things very well. You're a big old ball of excellence, okay? You just really got to speak nicer to yourself and be nicer and be tender with yourself. You need some tender love and care, and you need to give it to yourself. You need to let other people give it to you also. So yeah, that's y'all's main message here. This is y'all's main message. Being nicer to yourself, allowing others to be nice to you, and open up. Express yourself. Express yourself. Because many of you probably have been silenced throughout your experience in life. Like anytime you try to defend yourself, or anytime you try to express yourself, the reactions that you got from people in the past were probably toxic, and that's what led you to the suffering and silence. And that's totally understandable. But that's a part of the cycle that you've come to the end of. And the new cycle is where expressing yourself is exactly what you need to do. And the divine realm has been and will be making sure that you no longer feel that false sense of comfort from suffering in silence and hiding what you really feel and what you're really going through and what you're really thinking. And that's the only way you're gonna shake it. That's the only way you're gonna clear up those blocks, is being nice to yourself and stop suffering in silence. Express yourself and ask for help. And neither of those things are anything that is going to hurt you. It's in fact going to make you feel so much better. It's going to make you so much better. And it's going to allow you to recognize the better that is already present. And that is coming in, like I done said before. Now, child, I have milked this cow dry. And if you're feeling synchronized, please like, share, and subscribe so that you can be one of the first to be back through these queenly quarters for the next time. And be sure to bless my comment section with your questions and conversations. And as always, I bid you all light, love, healing, and liberation. Emphasis on liberation. Mwah!